The core question that we should always, all small business owners, if I could clone one client 1,000 times, who would it be?
Hello and welcome to episode 275 of the Smart Agents Podcast. As always, my name is Michael Walter and I'll be your host. On today's episode, I'm joined by Kyle Bailey, founder of Fronthburner Marketing and a marketing strategist who spent more than 15 years helping service-based businesses grow through SEO, local visibility, and clearer messaging. In this conversation, we focus on one of the biggest challenges real estate agents face today, standing out online and attracting the right clients. Kyle breaks down why trying to appeal to everyone actually hurts your marketing, how neighborhood-focused content builds real authority, and why your website and SEO should act as a filter, not just a lead generator. But before we jump in, if you or someone else on your team has an incredible story of real estate success or strategies that could help other agents grow their businesses, send us a message at feedback@smartagents.com. We're always looking for new guests to inspire our listeners. And lastly, if you enjoy this conversation and want to hear more, be sure to subscribe to the Smart Agents Podcast. We stream on all major podcasting platforms such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and YouTube. All right, let's get into our conversation with Kyle Bailey. If you're interested in learning more about Fronthburner marketing or just connecting with Kyle, be sure to check out the episode description for all the links. All right, well, if you could just introduce yourself to us a little bit. Tell us who you are and where you are at.
Yeah, I'm Kyle Bailey. I'm down in the Austin, Texas area, or across, I guess, if you're in Florida. Yeah. Been here for 32 years now, but born and raised in Texas. I always say I'm from the I-35 corridor, Dallas, Waco, and Austin. I've been in sales and marketing type roles. Even when I was in construction, I was in those roles. Even though I strapped on bags every day and built stuff, but I was also in sales roles. And then I transitioned into the fully online world in 2009, selling for someone, selling SEO, and then moved over to my own agency, started that in 2010.
Awesome. So 15 years.
15 years, celebrating 15 years. It's on my logo, so
awesome.
It must be official.
Awesome. Tell us the name of your agency.
Frontburner Marketing. Frontburner. Not front runner. I speak too fast a lot of times. I think I say front runner. Frontburnermarketing.net. There's another one up in Ohio. I found out too late.
Oh no.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, tell me about, being, in the construction and in the service industries. I think that really relates really well to the real estate professional, because it is that, it's kind of that boots on the ground. Even though for real estate agents, you may work for a brokerage, it's the personal brand and you are your own mini business, regardless
Yes.
of how big of a team you work on. Tell me just kind of some of the parallels that, you've seen over the time that you have been running your agency.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think real estate agents, realtors, are even further on the spectrum than home service business owners because you don't have the physical product. I don't call a realtor because I've got an emergency plumbing leak. I don't call a realtor because I want them to build me a cabinet like I saw at my friend's house, right? I call a realtor when I'm ready to sell a house and I might never see them again because I'm probably going to be moving. And so you have this very unique set of benefits and I don't want to say detriments, but definitely kind of starting behind the eight ball in some respects. And then I think that the Achilles heel of realtors, please forgive me, anybody listening to this, but the Achilles heel is there's this fear of loss. I don't want to say I specialize in any area of town because then I'll lose the other parts of town. By trying to be everybody, you end up being nobody.
Yeah.
And that's true in any area of marketing. A really great, easy to access case study in this is the Pepsi marketing campaign in the 80s when they said, we're the choice of a new generation. They didn't try to say we're the best cola because Coke owns that, right? But Coke was selling tradition. Pepsi came along and sold youth. And they made such a ruckus that Coke panicked and changed their formula that they hadn't changed for how many ever decades. But the whole idea is you're something. Yes, you'll probably still get all those other south deals, but be north. You're north. You reduce your area, You reduce your drive time. You give yourself an identity. People have something to hang their hat on, identify you with, because by not doing that, you blend into all the other realtors. Now you have to distinguish on your name or something. And that's probably the hardest thing to do, because try to get somebody to stop their day, consume your name, do the mental exercise of going, yeah, he's different than all those other ones. She's different in this way. She wears different clothes. No, the other guy wears clothes too. What is she different? How is she? You really have to. I think it's a lot more work that way. But once you localize, you have the ability. Now, this is where the overlap is very one to one. Then honestly, home service people don't do this either. I try to get them to do this, but it's hard. All you got to do is drive by the places you drive by all the time. Go to your most desired areas. Take a selfie with the HOA sign in front of the thing, whatever the big, like I live in a place called Mayfield up in the north side of Austin. Go to where the nice, big, pretty sign is, especially if they got a cool waterfall or ducks or whatever, get you a selfie with that. Hey, I'm out in Mayfield today. This is a great place. Here's 5 facts about it, blah, blah, blah. You do that every day. You've got so many subdivisions around you that have those titles on them. And then you can stub off that and do school districts. You can do, highest. They released a top cities to live in Texas. Right. I saw that released just the other day. That's 5 blog posts right there.
Right.
So I'm talking a while, so I'll give it a rest. But that's the easiest low hanging. That's free marketing. It's easy posting. You can do a little short video. You can do selfies. You can do a few pictures of the neighborhood. Put it on your GBP. Put it on your Instagram. Put it on your TikTok. Whatever you do. I mean, it's free. Yeah, and you're telling the story.
Yeah, definitely. Excuse me. I definitely want to get into some of the specific types of content that these agents and these realtors can use to kind of build up that market authority. But first, before doing that, I think like you said, you want to make sure that you're not your idea isn't this I'm broadly painted across, I'm in the St. Augustine area. So that would be, Jacksonville. Am I Jacksonville? Am I St. Augustine? Am I, to the west side? But really where you find the most success is really kind of pinpointing those smaller neighborhoods and building up that market credibility there. So I think to do that, how do you figure out first what your ideal client is going to be?
Yes. Such a great question. So it's I always ask this question. If you are going to create, and this is a targeting problem, right? So we address marketing problems, targeting problems, messaging problems. This is targeting. And again, if you aim for not something, there's a million ways to hit that, and they all pay you $0. When you aim for something, it changes everything. The main reason ship captains get paid what they get paid is to change course and get to the destination that they started out on, no matter what little winds or waves or storms move them around, right? Yeah. And you can't steer a ship that's not moving. Those are 2 principles I think about all the time. I'm ADHD. And I'm not the squirrel kind of ADHD. I'm the eternal rabbit hole ADHD.
So my wife is as well. And
listen, I get the same amount of payoff from learning why James Garfield died that I do from signing a new client.
Right.
I have to tell myself, James Garfield's not going to pay my bills this month.
Right.
I need to focus on fulfillment and, lots of other filters around that. But yes, aiming for something, so your ideal client. So the question is, the core question that we should always, all small business owners, if I could clone one client 1,000 times, who would it be? So for realtors, you probably don't want to, I know some realtors who they will target the luxury market, but I watch them and I track them. I know they sell stuff that's not in the luxury market. Yeah. So by targeting the luxury market and branding themselves around that, that's kind of what they own, and they probably sell two or three of those deals a year. But you know better than me,
Yeah.
the dollar amount on those bigger deals is massive, and they're going to
Yeah.
sell 15 or 20 or more of those middle market deals,
Right.
right? But by targeting yourself that way, think about this: you've got somebody they're a get everything for nothing type person. They're the kind of person who is gonna haggle every deal, right? They're gonna they're going to work really hard. Their entertainment and their dopamine payoff is to get you to give up a point. They
Right.
don't even care about the money so much. It's they got it. They got this. There's that kind of, then there's the kind of person who buys value, who understands professionalism. They understand what you're doing. They understand the value in what you do. So once you say I'm luxury realty, you automatically, those people, those hagglers are not going to go for you.
Right.
So you've already made your life easier. Day one,
Yeah.
moment one. A really good example of this is I have a large remodeling company in Dallas, the north side of Dallas. And when they brought me on, they couldn't figure out why they were getting all these leads of these people who were just, they always tried to get them to make the cheapest cabinets,
Mm-hmm.
particle board cabinets, the cheapest, but let's get paint that's $20 cheaper. And they could never get them to understand this is, you're going to hate me in a year when
Right.
all this starts chipping and fading. So the problem was all their messaging on their website, they paid this guy like over $10,000 for their website and
Mm-hmm.
their content. And all the messaging was any budget will work, no job too small.
Right.
We'll make any budget work. Small kitchens are okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, you've got a beautiful website that sells Walmart level. No offense to Walmart, but it is what it is, right?
Right.
You're not going to go buy a high end shirt from Walmart. It's just not possible, right?
Yeah.
And so you can't get high end experience with a Walmart thinking client.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. His copy was attracting that level of client who wanted everything for nothing, never wanted to do big jobs. And so we transformed the content. They don't get tire kickers anymore. And what
Yeah.
we did is we put in there luxury, high end, investment, elegant, beautiful, long lasting. We talked about the components, the difference between the components. We never use particle board. We only do
Right.
this. We never use Corian. We only do high end and quartz countertops and all this other terminology. And then you fill in the reasons for that. And by definition, by how you're speaking, who you're speaking to, you divide off the market that is not your ideal client.
Right.
A good way to do that is to go talk to them.
Yeah.
Go talk to some of these people. Find what do you like? What do you not like? What are some experiences you've had with realtors that you did not like?
Right.
And what have conversely, what are some that you did like? What did you like about that? Then it's time for rigorous self-examination because you got to find the holes in your own game, or those people are not going to stick around. You have to earn that level of business. So if you've got some holes in your fulfillment game and your contract execution, in your personal attention to the person, attention to detail, any of those areas, you just have to. That's the hard part. Alex
Yeah.
Hormozy, we talked about Alex Hormozy. He says,
Right.
and I love this. I think about this at least once a day, if not two or three times. The work works on you more than you work on the work.
Right.
Because if you're going to be serious about it, if you're going to really take it seriously to succeed, then you have to examine yourself. That's the first part of your work.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that definitely comes, when it comes to, like, say, for that agent that is, if you're out there, if you're promoting yourself and if you're targeting that luxury client, you can say that all you want, but you got to live it. Like, you got to live that client experience that you're giving to people, because at the end of the day, once you do start getting those deals, people are going to talk, and it is way, you can take all this time to build up your reputation, but if you
Mm-hmm.
can't fulfill on what you say, it's in a flash.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
and that's where paying for professional help
Yeah.
comes into play. I think most people. I'm certainly not trying to shame any realtor. Or we're all in the same boat. We're all, unless you came from money, which very few of us did, then we're all fighting the same battle. We came from some sort of less than, and we're trying to move up to more than, right?
Right.
More than what we started with, right? Trying to get better.
Right.
And so that process is all about bringing in the knowledge you need to take that next step. The number one best thing I've ever done is investing in myself. But it's not just investing in myself in a way that is comfortable. You have to be willing, we all have to be willing to ask and answer the hard questions and then execute on whatever that answer is.
Right. I like going back to what you said and the analogy to the ship captain, and I really like that because it makes a lot of sense. Where if you have like a targeted audience that you are wanting to market yourself towards, that gives you, I mean, that gives you a very pinpointed direction to start building all of the marketing materials, if you will, all the blogs, all the other stuff that helps prop you up as that. So talk to me about kind of building out that content market, whatever type of strategy it is, and what you advise, people to do in order to build themselves up in that, for that audience that they're targeting.
Yeah. So it's all about the core problem you solve. It really is. You have to get really, really granular on that. And the best way to do that is to go talk to these folks. There's a guy, young guy, I really admire him because you may have seen him because he's pretty popular now. He stops these rich guys on the street, says, "Hey, how did you get started? Blah, blah, blah." And what he's able to say now, because he stuck to it. Now think about when he started. When he started, it was probably pretty hard to get those guys to stop and talk to him. Yeah. But now he stops them in their tracks with one statement. I have a YouTube channel. I interview rich guys to help other young people coming up to learn the lessons they learned. And I've done over this many videos. Targeting, core problem, because these guys want to help people. These folks that have succeeded, if they've built up from nothing, they love helping somebody else do the same thing. Yeah. So what he's doing is he's found this core message that speaks exactly to them in a sentence, a single sentence. I get really amped up about stuff like this. I apologize. I get kind of intense. But in a single sentence, he's able to stop. And you think about these guys and women, men and women. I'm using people, humans. Yeah. They are busy. They're targeted. They're focused. Yet this young man on the street is able to stop them in a sentence. Wouldn't you like to be able to do that for your ideal client? You don't get there by accident. You got to get up every day, execute messaging. Think about what your core messaging is. Yeah. And I'll throw myself under the bus. I have struggled for a long time with my agency because agencies are everywhere. How do I differentiate? The majority of my business comes from word of mouth, even up until now. It will come from people that I've known. So I'm actually repositioning. I'm writing a book called What's Your Story? Because of two things. Number one, the number one problem that I see, and it's very, very difficult to get home service business owners to take action on this, which is to invest in telling their story. Because they can't see the value in it. And it makes sense if you think about it. They've done things one way their whole life, and it's worked. So the whole idea is, what's your story? And so I'm writing a book, how to tell your story, and how to be able to execute that, because you can't just write your story down. You've got to be able to. It's the most successful people, if you think about home service businesses who are really well branded, like you see their brand and you instantly know what's going on. They usually have a mascot. They have some kind of origin story, almost like a superhero. And they have their soft touch reason for doing what they do. And that all comes from their story. And so I'm writing that book. I'm going to start the website based on that and offer that as a service, because now we're back to the same idea. How am I going to find that client who's willing to invest in their story? By having a website called What's Your Story? I start with the question, what's your story? How did you get here? Why do you do this? Why are you still doing it? Why are you doing the same thing your grandfather did? That's a beautiful legacy. What's the story behind it? And so that's all an exercise in target identity and execution, differentiation, all the things we're talking about. And I must confess, I lost track of the very last question you asked me. So help me with that.
No, well, I think, and sharing your story, I think that's to me, that could be such a powerful way for real estate agents to connect with their core audience. Because a lot of times it's the people that live around them. It's the communities that they live in. So if they can share, why they moved to this area. Did they grow up in it? Did they move here because of a certain reason with their family?
Yeah.
What's it been like raising their family? As a
Yes.
real estate agent, if you can show that you are an active part of that community, your
Hmm.
authority goes way up.
Hmm. Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. People. There's a statement. I believe it's attributed to Bill Gates, but I don't know for sure. I haven't been able to run down the exact origin of it. But it's that people buy. They don't buy things; they buy states. Then there's another statement that's very similar that has overlap. People buy with emotion; they justify with logic. Well, there's an analog for story. So people buy to solve their problem, then they fill in the blank with story. And that's why reviews are so important. The first part of half of reviews are important because it tells me that I'm safe. I call it the social proof value chain. Somebody else like me has a problem like me. First of all, is awareness. I have this problem. I want to solve it. He solves his problem using his service. I can get the same result by using his service that he did. Now, because you have competition, the next step is what's critical. They're going to go to your website. And if it's the same as everybody else's, you lost.
Mm-hmm.
You may still get the customer. I'm not saying you lose every time. What I'm saying is you lost your opportunity. That's your moment to say legacy, history, community investment, family. You've got that time to say that. And unfortunately, most of the time, it's lost
Yeah.
because that investment in the story is not there.
Yeah. So with the people that you are working with, is that something, with their website, are you really working with them to add that and really get that throughout their website, that they're showing those things so that when they are searched online or something like
Mm-hmm.
that, those things are coming up?
Yeah, so that's the difficult part in selling that, which is that they're approaching me for SEO, which almost always they've invested with somebody else in SEO. They have a decent knowledge of what it is, and that's what they
Mm-hmm.
want to buy. I call it a lead a horse to water
Mm-hmm.
situation because you've got your horse in the corral. Now you need to lead them not to that water that they're drinking over there. You want them to drink this new water that you put in this trough. Horse doesn't know any difference. Horse
Right.
water's water, right? And I don't mean to
Right.
compare people to horses, but it's the whole idea that you as a subject matter expert, you know what's better. So you're leading your client to this other better that they don't know is better yet.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm starting that website and that entity because it starts the conversation at story and lets SEO flow out of that instead of going the other way around. Short answer to what you're saying is basically what I do now is I I'm basically doing that at no extra charge because it's hard to it has been in the past hard to differentiate that and tell that part of the value because the reality is people don't go online and search for they don't go I want to sell this house and I want to move over to the other part of town that's better. My wife and I we've been thinking about it for a long time. We're ready. Their first search is not community connected um, realtor with a good family history.
Right.
That's not their first search. But that's what I mean, going back to what I was saying before, is they're going to go to satisfy their problem. They're going to, especially with a large investment like realtor, if they're doing a cold
Mm-hmm.
search and it's not a warm referral,
Mm-hmm.
then the path is they're going to find you, then they're going to compare you. And that's the moment that your story will differentiate. And there's a part of it that does show up in the marketing and SEO world, and that's called topical authority. So that comes in your blogging execution, your keyword strategy, and things like that. But that's about 1/3 of the story part that's
Mm-hmm.
going to bring them across. In fact, most likely what's going to happen in that case is they're going to find your topical authority pieces and then come back to your website and read your story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, so kind of walk me through that, because I think that is a little bit different than I think a lot of people, that maybe aren't necessarily familiar with
Mm-hmm.
this. Like, they think about having like, oh, I want to make sure that I have all of those, those the top five, schools in this district, or, like those kind of that
Sure.
kind of content. But talk to me about this other, what you mean specifically when story and that type of stuff that you wanted on the website.
Yeah, so it's the blend, and you want to spend probably 60% of your organic effort on the expert side. And I would say 40% of that would go over to the story side, which is why are you in this community? What do you do in this community? Things like that. Good example, a roofer that I'm working with right now, he just did this. He took his whole staff and they went and worked with this give back into the community thing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, he's like most roofers, that's the end of it. But what I'm going to go do is I'm going to go, hey, those pictures you put up on social, give those to me. Let's do a quick interview online. We're going to digest that into a transcript. We're going to dump that into ChatGPT or Claude. Claude probably is a better writing tool. Then we're going to come out of that with 750 words. Then take that to the next step. If it's a cause you believe in, let's talk about the cause and let's start thinking about that as a center hub. Like if it's orphanage, children's homes. I'm old, so we called them orphanages. Now they're called children's homes. Uh, and so if it's children's homes, which I think that's what this is for him, then what we want to do is pick out a couple that he works with, and in this piece, we want to offer the opportunity for anybody to read it to give to those. So we brand those entities. If it's like here in this part of Austin, probably in the entire state of Texas, the Texas Baptist Children's Home
Right.
is one of the largest entities that gives into that and serves that community. And so we would brand that, talk to them about look what if you just got cold donations, what's the best way for that to happen? They would put that in the post. If you care about this like we do, here's an opportunity to give. Here's the next two events coming up. Here's their annual gala. Link to that. Every nonprofit that has their stuff together, that if they're organized, then they've got a national. I keep saying national annual gala. That's their main fundraising event of the year. Link to that. Link to the last one. Link to any guest who came in. There's so many opportunities there to tell that story and it be a feel good. People want to feel good and they want to participate. They just don't know how, right? So on that side of it, you're telling your story. If you've got any history with adoption or anything like that, then that's just a perfect highway that speaks very clearly. So I was adopted. I feel really passionate about these things. Here's two entities. Here's one we served, but here's these two. They work together all the time. Here's a way you can give to each one. By the way, their annual galas, I finally figured out annual and not national. Their annual galas coming up January the 14th. Please consider donating or attending, blah, 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 whatever. So that speaks your personal story, your community investment story, your location story.
Right.
It's speaking to all that. And then if you build in there, if you've got time in the industry, we've been supporting this place for over 25 years in my history of being a realtor, those kinds of things. So now you're building topical authority, subject matter expertise, community involvement, community investment, give back opportunity for the reader. It's all there.
Yeah, and I think that's really, for real estate agents and a lot of the ones that I know, in my community, the people that I've done interviews, on this for the last several years, everybody's involved in something in their community, and that's something like they could all do quickly. They could put this thing together real.
Even if all you want to do is promote somebody's event.
Right.
There in Austin, music's a big deal, and it's called HAM. I can't remember what the acronym stands for, but basically, musicians have a hard time. Full-time musicians have a hard time with medical insurance, stuff like that, benefits that other people in W-2 incomes. Musicians are also notoriously bad at business stuff. So I'm a musician also, so I'm laughing at myself. So HAM is it's a nonprofit that gives back and helps musicians have nest egg, safety net, things like that. If they get sick or something, it's a place to fall back. So that's a really easy. I would throw stuff out for HAM all the time, even though I'm not on the board or anything, but it's definitely an organization that I believe in. And so anything like that, it all fits. And then now you can double that and look at like what are some of your neighborhood association big connection points. Like, what do they do every year? Do they do a fundraising garage sale? Is there a give back for the high school band opportunity? Things like that. So now you're getting location tie in. Again, it's building subject matter expertise because other people didn't even know this existed for
Yeah.
this neighborhood, right? And you're giving them that opportunity. But you're also saying, I live here, I give here. This is how I do it. Here's another opportunity. And if 20% of your posts are about stuff like that, which is what I would recommend,
Mhm.
that's a great, that's a great ratio.
Yeah.
I'm an expert in these things. This is why you should buy. This is why you shouldn't buy. This is how you should buy. This is how you shouldn't buy. Here's
Mhm.
some things to consider for these areas of town. Here's a way to give back, and it's part of my personal story.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's what, you know, even just thinking about my own, we're looking for our home. You're not just looking. It's not just the four walls that you're buying. It's the lifestyle and everything that comes around with the community. And if I came across somebody that was sharing all the different things that they were involved in the community, I might connect with a couple of those. I might have similar interests in those, and
Yes.
that's probably somebody I want to work with.
And the word you said right there is so critical. It's connect.
Yeah,
People don't want to just buy, they want to connect with
yeah,
someone. Yeah,
yeah.
totally.
Tell me about how you know, over the course of your career, in the SEO world and doing these things, how it's kind of changed? Because I mean, it is changing a lot, especially when we're talking about, the AI generated search results and all those types of things.
Yes. It would be easier to list the things that haven't changed. I mean, when I started, Mobilegeddon hadn't happened. That happened in 2012, which with the advent of the smartphone in 2007, and then Samsung coming in behind Apple, and then really propagating and blowing that up. By 2010, 11, 10 is when Facebook's business pages were
Hmm.
launched. That's why I launched my agency because nobody was doing Facebook business pages
Hmm.
and Facebook had not cracked down on organic reach yet.
Ah,
So with a Facebook business, people really thought Facebook business pages were going to eliminate websites
right.
and Facebook was going to replace Google because it was that usable and searchable. Well, Facebook found out they couldn't make any money with that, and so they choked the organic reach down. So that was a pretty big change, but it happened pretty fast and it wasn't really noticed. The next big change was Mobilegeddon.
Hmm.
That was when Google cracked down and said, "Hey, if your website doesn't look good on mobile, if you don't have a responsive website, we're not going to return you in the main index." Then after that, it was Panda and Penguin. Panda and Penguin punished lazy, spammy links. And then by now we're moving into like 17, 18. The modern era of search, Google began to put more material onto the organic page that wasn't directly related to home service. So
Right.
I'm everything I talk about comes from home service. It's applicable to realtors as well.
Right.
And so if somebody searched realtor near Cedar Park, Texas, which is close to where I live, then you would come up with some realtors in the map pack.
Right.
But now what you have is you have the sponsored results. Then sometimes you'll still have an organic result above the maps, but it won't be a local realtor generally. It'll be a Yelp listing of top 10. It'll be a Reddit post about it. Then you go below the map and a lot of times you'll still have a group of Reddit posts. Then you get into the organic. Now, what another thing that has come up is the AI overview. And that's generally at the very top or right under the sponsored links now. And so it's basically an all out war against your website. And it's now moved your website into kind of a vetting role where the problem you have now is by the time somebody gets to your website, they have found you some other way. And this is why hyper targeted blogging is so important. Location based blogging is so important, especially probably more important for realtors than it is for standard home service because people are making their choices based on location. So if you're the subject matter expert for the Northwest corridor of Austin, and you can tell me why it's better to live in Cedar Park than in Leander, or vice versa, or why north of 1431 is better than south of 1431. Things like this are just there. That's gold. You're printing money at this point.
Yeah.
And because that's how people are going to find you, then they're going to find their way to your website. They're going to read your story. All of it just starts cascading. You've got a cascading benefit there.
Yeah.
So that's been the biggest change. Within the industry, it's pretty well known that ChatGPT and Claude don't have Perplexity. Those are the three big search monsters right now. But even with that, they don't have a really big piece of the pie. Google still is the market leader by
Right.
a long stretch.
Right.
But they've spooked Google enough that Google is changing the way they're doing things. And so that's what Google sees as the future. So that's why we're so big on it, because if Google sees it as the future and they're investing billions, we need to point our clients in the same way and prepare them. Now, as to give you a practical example of this, a big company that I work for, we dominated probably, I don't know, at least 200 keywords. I mean, when I say dominate, we're number one across the board for over 200 keywords in the remodeling space. Large market, competitive market. When AI search hit, we had no presence. And that's because of the criterion that AI search was using at the time. Now that's changed. It's changed a lot. We have a page that's dedicated to what we call the SERP battle, even though SERP is search engine return page. Even though technically this is not a search engine return page, it's what everybody understands. And so, but we've got basically a month's running display of Claude, ChatGPT, Perplexity, and Google. What they return for plumbing, for a plumbing service near me, and you can see the way it's changed over the last. I think we've been tracking it for 8 or 9 months now. And at first, what was happening is Google's people, out of the three in the map pack, maybe one of them would be present in the AI search, sometimes none. But then week to week, we do it every Monday. And week to week, even within the ChatGPT returns, and I'm going to use ChatGPT for all of them, within the AI returns, week to week, those would change, sometimes completely.
Oh,
Sometimes
wow.
all the 3 or 5 that would be in the ChatGPT or AI search returns would be completely new list the next week. And so that tells you that that's a completely flux situation. That it's a completely in flux. What's beginning to happen now is they're getting to where they are a lot closer to Google's search returns,
Oh, wow.
but there's still absences. And so an easy way to figure this out for yourself is, if you're not there, go look at the links, because they'll give you every link that they're using at the AI search engines, search, whatever you want to call
Right.
it. They'll give you the link. So they'll tell you how they're determining this. And this is why you hire an agency, is because it's not rocket science, it's elbow grease.
Right.
There's no short way to wax your car, right? You got to just bite the bullet and go do it. And so you're going to have to go up, sign up to these sites and ask to be included and ask for reviews on these other sites and things like that. So it's a lot of work, but you can't not do it. You have no choice. It's the Death Star that's coming. It's the Death Star coming around the back of the moon on Star Wars. That's no moon. That's AI. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, tell me, more about, for yourself and your agency, for somebody, that you work with people all across the country. You mainly Texas.
Mm-hmm.
How do you work with people?
Yeah, all across the country. I've even had some international clients. So it's the search function works the same way. It's just
Yeah.
understanding the language that's hyperlocal, and we have tools that we can do that. I can behave in a location, and then that will give me, Google's data is still just one of the leading factors out there. So Google will give you the search data, so there's tools that measure it through Google. You can go into Google Trends. If you've got a website, you need to connect Search Console to that. Uh, you should do that now, like today,
Yeah.
now. Like as soon as this podcast is over, go do it, because Every day you don't do it, you're not measuring. And every day you're not measuring, what do you, it's like shooting a rifle at a target, but it's dark. You don't know what you're shooting at. You know what you're targeting. And so you need that data and that's how we work. The first thing we're going to try to understand is who is your competition? How are they succeeding? How are we going to get you in that position?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, where can somebody, learn more about you guys and, get hooked up with you if it's something they're interested in doing?
Yeah, well, I don't know when this will be released, but probably my book will be published. It's going to be titled "What's Your Story?" I don't know what the subtitle is yet. Still working on that, but that'll be finished and published. I think we're at 14 days right now.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, looking forward to that. Pretty excited about it. But you can find me at my website, frontburnermarketing.net. I've got a lot of free tools on there. My goal is always, because there's a lot of like 70s used car salesmen
Right.
people in the SEO world. And so I've worked really hard to give free tips on the front. And I do a discovery call with every client. And I guarantee you, I'll give you at least 5 usable tips and tactics that you can use. Even if you don't hire me, you can give them to your team and you'll improve your business with that. So they can sign up for a free discovery call there. You can find me on all the socials. And yeah, that's where you can find me.
Awesome. Well, I really do appreciate you taking the time to talk with us today.
Hey, man, I really appreciate it. I really enjoyed it.
I want to thank Kyle again for joining us today and breaking down how real estate agents should be thinking about SEO, local visibility, and attracting the right clients. If you'd like to learn more about Kyle, Frontburner Marketing, or explore the resources he mentioned, you'll find all the links in the episode description. And once again, if you think you or someone else on your team has an incredible story of real estate success or tips to share with our community, send us a message to feedback@smartagents.com. Well, that wraps things up for this episode, but remember, follow the show wherever you listen to podcasts and make sure to subscribe to the Smart Agents YouTube channel. Again, I'm Michael Walter, and we'll see you on the next episode.